Well, hello there, and good morning to all of you who are joining me live this Saturday, and a very heartfelt welcome to those who are watching on demand a little bit later. I'm so glad to have you here. My name is Joshua Harrell, and this is Travel Marketeering Saturday sessions, the Saturday sessions. So, yes, I come into the office on Saturdays, most Saturdays, to talk travel marketeering, the marketing systems used to sell products and services, specifically, obviously, travel, if it's travel marketeering. Sorry. Again, it is Saturday morning. So I am so glad that you are here. Today, we're going to be talking about forging meaningful connections with your prospects and your customers. We're going to talk about connections, meaningful connections, and relationships throughout today's session. Specifically, we're going to talk about how to define your ideal prospects. A topic I love to talk about. Also, the importance of being genuine and transparent with your prospects and future customers, future clients, we can call them, and also leveraging positive reviews, testimonials in your marketing. So no PowerPoint today. This is going to be more of a conversation around this topic to talk about connections. Now, if you are joining us live, it's just me. If you're joining the group live, then please, if you have any questions, you can down below, you can do the raise hand and I can unmute you and you can talk to us and ask a question. Or you can use the Q&A feature and drop your questions there. And I am going to, as I'm talking about things, I'll move over to the questions or the raised hands, and we can chat. The chat feature is turned off in this call. So if you even want to just add a comment, you have to use the Q&A. I know it was a weird thing, didn't mean to do that, but we did. So I will take chats in the Q&A as well. Okay. All right. Well, let's tuck in. Oh, and by the way, if you have not joined our new private Facebook group, please do. It's called Travel Marketeers. You can look that up. You can search that on Facebook. And if you search Travel Marketeers, you'll definitely find our private Facebook group. You are welcome to join. We would love to have you there. It is brand new, so the community is just building. But we wanted to create a special place to continue the dialogue after these sessions. So you are welcome to join. Again, just search in Facebook, just search for Travel Marketeers. And if you have any questions after the session, feel free to email me, joshua@worldvia.com. I love talking about marketing. I specifically love talking about travel marketeering and being in the space of travel. Now, before I really tuck in, if we've never met before, I am a serial entrepreneur. I've had many businesses. A lot of them have failed. So I am the perfect person to speak to you because I know what not to do. I've also been a marketer my entire life, whether it be for consumer brands, like a brand called Bare Minerals, a cosmetic company, to even B2B marketing, where I had to market the very sexy, the cables that power up cities that run under cities. Yeah, that was fun. Not as fun as cosmetics, but nothing is more fun than marketing travel and specifically travel advisors. So that is my history. And I'm going to weave that, no doubt, throughout this conversation today. So first, let's get started with how to define your target, your ideal prospects. Okay. Now, I if you have tuned in before, I have talked about this before. If you when we're doing this kind of marketing strategy work, we are talking about the structure, the systems that we're putting in place to market our business. That can oftentimes sound like we are creating walls around us that are blocking maybe customers that don't fall into what your ideal is. And the reason why I say this is because in many talks that I've done, many classes that I've taught, um, we start to get into things like this, either defining your niche or defining who your ideal customer is. And inevitably, someone will say, well, this is who I want to market to, but I need to pay the bills, or I'm just getting started. And I have people who use my services, and it's not, I'm selling what I ideally don't want to. And based on what we're talking about, they feel like we're saying you have to say no to those clients. And that is not the case. Um, if you try to be everything to everybody, you're no one to nobody. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about, where am I going to put my effort? Where is it going to be? Where am I going to get the biggest bang for my buck? Where am I going to get that return on investment? Um, if I want to sell, I only want to sell cruises. Okay. I'm going to use cruise images on my website. I'm going to create social media messages about cruising. I'm going to advertise, I'm not going to say in a cruise magazine, but I'm going to advertise about cruising because that's what I want to sell. Now, because I've done this work to become known for cruising, I'm also being known for travel. So that does mean that somebody who sees you talking about cruising, they could also think, oh, well, they can do my all-inclusive. I want to do an all-inclusive vacation, or I want to do a theme park vacation. You can't stop them from thinking that you might do that. And that is okay. And maybe that's perfectly fine with you. Maybe you have sold those products before and you're very comfortable with it, or it's not a huge leap from what you're doing. It's just not what you want to be doing all the time. And if you were trying to market to an audience for all of those different product categories, that would be very expensive. Expensive in money if you are advertising, expensive in your time, because you're not just creating your marketing messages around cruising, you're now creating marketing messages around theme parks. You're creating marketing messages around all inclusives. It's not that it can't be done. It's just not as focused. And that focus is really where where you can get the biggest bang for your buck. Again, in dollars and also your time. And that makes sense. Like that, dollars and cents. That makes sense. So I just want to get that out of the way, because if you are just getting started, you are more than likely very open to whatever the universe is sending your way. And that is okay. But when we talk about creating your strategy and your systems, we need to be very intentional about what we're doing, and we need to be building it in a way that not only are we creating this structure that helps us make decisions in the future, but it's also a structure that we can analyze. We can say, um, you know what, I thought this was my ideal customer. But as I have been I've been having consultations and delivering proposals, I have found that there is a little, maybe it's a personality thing that you want to try to incorporate into your marketing, or it could even be a demographic thing. I do better with the same messaging around my travel category that I might be focused on or my pathway. Um, but the demographic, I tend to skew maybe a little more in the Gen X group. So what does that really mean? Well, in some marketing platforms or advertising platforms, you're actually choosing, I want to look for somebody within this age range. I want to present my messages to someone in this age range. It could also be the images that you choose to use. If you are, say you've discovered that through your conversations that you're on the right track, but and you're attracting leads in, but the Gen Xers are the ones that are closing faster. Or they might be a group that is more lucrative, more profitable for you. Then you can choose images of Gen Xers versus baby boomers or Gen Zers. And I'm a marketer, so sometimes I go into marketing speak. So I'm sure everyone's familiar with baby boomers. Gen X is the group coming up behind the baby boomers, and then Gen Z is behind them. You can, or sorry, not Gen Z, millennials come just after the Gen Xers, and then Gen Z. So there's naming around each of the different age groups. It just helps in creating buckets. So I wanted to get that out of the way if you hadn't heard those terms before. But you can look up the different names of the generations as well as what defines that group. And again, these are just bits of information that help you define your ideal customer. So let's talk about how you. Okay, so getting that out of the way, you're not blocking people who want to work with you through your messaging. You're just making your messaging really, really strong and getting the biggest bang for your buck by being ultra focused on who you're communicating to. You will have a halo effect, meaning it's going to spill out and shine its light on loads of other people that might not be your ideal target, but you're putting your energy into the group that you want to target. Okay. All right. I feel like I have beat that into the ground, but like I said, every single time I talk about this, whether it's paid marketing, social media, website content, email marketing, I always talk about speaking to your ideal prospect, and someone will say, "But all my customers don't look like that." So again, big bang for the buck. All right, let's talk about identifying your target. And in the Q&A, if you feel like you have already identified your target audience, I would love for you to write how you describe it and just drop it in the chat, because I'd love to share it with the rest of the group. And it just, if it's not what you would say to the public, you wouldn't say, I only work with people who are single, or single parents, and their income is 75K plus. You're not, that's not what you're putting on your website, but you're talking to me, your travel marketeering guide here, and so we're going to get down to brass tacks. So if you like I said, if you have already identified your target, or you want me to give some feedback on your target, just write it out and drop it in the Q&A, because I'd love to share it with the group. And if you do have a question about your target, drop that in, and I'll answer that. I am full of opinions, so take me up on it. Okay. All right. So identifying your ideal prospect. First, you knew market research. Oh my gosh, I know you're telling me, oh, I market research. What? I did not go to school to be a marketer. I'm not doing market research. Guess what? I'm not asking for you to get to do a technical analysis, but drop it into a spreadsheet and give me colorful graphs. I'm not asking for that. But you do it all the time. You do your Google searches, and you're looking for you might be actually looking for inspiration for what to sell your clients. So you're already doing research. You're not documenting it and putting in a research paper, but don't don't have your blinkers on where you are not looking at the competitive landscape. Okay. So just as you might be looking for guidance on how to market your business, look around to see what is going on in the competitive landscape, and see who your competitors are. And I've said this before, if you've been in other marketeering sessions, um, you're not competing against online travel agencies or these mega agencies that have uh, multi-agents, or and hundreds of them in some cases. You're not competing with them, but success leaves clues. And just even looking at what they're talking about, especially if it fits within what you want to sell, look at how they're marketing their business. If you see customer reviews for an agency that, again, isn't your competitor, but is selling the things that you want to sell, read their reviews. Look on forums. It's I used to think that was really weird. I'm going to be very honest with you, because searching through forums has been a thing, and now they're more streamlined. But in the past, there were tons of them. But you could search for different topics, and you could find different conversations that were going on. And at first I thought it was weird, because I'm like, I don't know, am I really talking about, um, as a human being in the world today, am I going to forums and asking questions about uh, how I should vacation? Um, and in doing some research for a retail travel agency that was a part of our company, I found out that so many people are talking in these forums about questions they have, advice on how to travel. So I've seen it a lot with how do families travel? How do you work with a travel advisor? I've seen, how do you, as a solo traveler, how do you make your way around the world without being terrified? I actually saw that exact post, and you see tons of people chiming in and talking about their personal experiences, or if they are a professional, you'll see advice that they're sharing there, and it does inform you. It gives you a glimpse uh, into your ideal customers. So I think that it is something that don't be overwhelmed in this process of identifying your ideal prospect, don't be overwhelmed. This is a great Saturday morning after you get done with me activity. It's not something that has to be so structured. And there are so many templates that you can look for online on how to research your ideal prospect that can help you as a worksheet, as a guide, see if you can answer these questions. But when it comes down to it, just be a web browser, be a lurker in the background, and look at what people are saying. What ah, here's can we have like a special sound effect for I got inspired. I was just talking about looking at OTAs, online travel agencies. Even if you're not competing with them, look at them. Look at your supplier partners or the partners you want to work with. These are sometimes publicly traded companies. These are massive organizations. What are they talking about right now? And what are they trying to influence the travel advisor distribution channel? What are they talking about? Because there's some hints there. If you see a cruise line starting to talk about more shorter itineraries, they're not building it and hoping that it will come, that there'll be loads of people who want those shorter itineraries. They're doing it because they got feedback that there more people want to cruise and they want shorter itineraries and maybe out of specific ports. Okay. They're not just saying, you know what, let's try it. Let's see if it works. No, they're not doing that. They're doing it for a reason. So start to tune in to those little clues because they might just inform how you are marketing, or even it might shine a light on an opportunity that you didn't see before. So that's what I mean by market research. Really, it's an online play. The only thing you have to do is not worry about your email. I've got to create my social post for the week. I've got to take my Commodore training for Princess. You gotta block everything out of your mind. And if you're like me, your brain is like constantly firing. You really do have to block everything out and just say, hey, I'm going to browse the web. I'm going to see what rabbit holes I can go down to try and find more information about the people I want to market to, or who I should be marketing to who I should be attracting based on what I want to sell. Okay, so that's the market research component of that. I'm going to pop over to the chat because if you notice my eyes shoot over to the side, I saw some Q&A happening, and I am very, very grateful for it. So like I said, if you already have what you feel is a true definition of your ideal prospect, drop that in the chat. I'd love to share it. If you have any questions about it that you want to ask me, then drop that in. Or if you have any questions, period, of what we're talking about, then drop that in the Q&A. But let's look over here. Diana said, I haven't sold anything yet, but I live in a 55 plus community. So I feel like baby boomers and Gen Xers might be more my market. Diana, I think you are onto something there. I would definitely agree with that. However, you haven't sold anything yet, so you're in the spot where you are marketing. You're trying to create that gravitational pull around you to make sure that you are signaling exactly what you sell, and you're making those signals known to your ideal prospects. So what you've said here to me is well, A, you live in a 55 plus community, and I love these communities because they are taking a portion of the demographics and they're saying we're all together. We got the geography and we've got the age group together. So you've got a nice captive audience right there. And beyond that, uh, what is it that you want to sell to them? And even though the Gen Xers are right there coming up into that group, um, and that totally makes sense that you're connecting both of those together. But what is it that you're selling to them? And then that helps you define. So out of that 55 plus community that you have, that you live in, do you want to be the cruise lady? Do you want to be the sun and fun lady? Do you want to be the touring and FIT lady? Do you want to be the theme park lady? That's another element, right? Or is there a nuance to your audience that speaks right to your heart? So if you're married and you love traveling with your partner, then maybe that's your niche. That maybe that's a part of who you're targeting is married couples like you, that fall within that Gen X baby boomer group, right? So there's loads of layers that I want to see you put onto that, because if you're trying to service all of their needs, it's going to be hard for you to tell a very cohesive message that everyone gets. Okay. So I love it though, and I love these communities because whether you live in a community or maybe you're a part of an online community or you're even a part of an in real life community that's an affinity group. They love Disney, or they love playing pirates. And don't laugh. There is a whole group of people that love to travel in pirate gear. Not all the time. I don't know. I've not been on one, but I do know a travel agency owner that she puts together trips like that on a regular basis, and that's a nuance to her business that I think is so unique. But guess what? Not too many competitors in that place in terms of a niche. So anyway, yeah, add some layers there. All right, so Laura, oh, good to see you, Laura. Thank you for joining this morning. My niche is European FIT, um, primarily in the UK, Italy, and Greece. My target audience, and guys, just so you know, I do have uh, a little trouble reading. So I might read things a little bit slower than you would like. So I'm not purposely trying to drag it out. So Laura's saying my niche is European FIT, primarily UK, Italy, and Greece. My target audience is Gen X mom. Loving this, Laura. Talk about getting specific here. Mom, ready to book travel with her partner or family, but too busy to book her own travel. I am moving to, first, I got to pause there. For all of you watching right now, that was very specific. So think about what she said here. Her pathway, the product the product category she's selling is European FIT. That's the more custom packages, or custom holidays, putting together bits and pieces to create a custom package. so European FIT, she's focused on the UK, Italy, and Greece, all fantastic countries, and all with multiple experiences that you could spend a lifetime just being Laura's client. But she is saying where she that's her pathway, but then who she's targeting, who her ideal prospect is, Gen X moms. Okay, she took the category of Gen X and she said moms. That now pushes a bunch of people. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's not going to take inquiries from those people. But in terms of her marketing messaging, she's getting into the head of that Gen X mom. And she's wanting the mom wants to travel with the partner or possibly the kids. So there's and that's the way it goes, right? A mom could want to travel with their partner and have a couple trip, or it's a family trip, right? But this is so this gives her a couple of this gives Laura a couple of different options, but what she needs to say in her marketing, in her emails, her proposals, her social media, she needs to say the things that that Gen X mom who wants to travel with their partner or with their family wants to hear. What is important to them? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a statement reaction type of thing. It could be just let me show you photos of these destinations and these experiences that I put together. And who's the hero in these photos? Mom. Okay. Very strategic. I love it, Laura. And then the other component to that is this mom is too busy, way too busy. So she's not even gonna try to book her own travel, right? She's so busy. She's so busy with taking care of the family, taking care of the home, or doing all of that, plus an intense career where there's just no time. But she knows, that mom knows that she needs to get a vacation together. She wants that vacation. She needs that vacation, right? So Laura is saying, hello, I am your solution because I know exactly what you need. Trust in me. I love it. Okay, so there's more to Laura's message, but Laura, I cannot thank you enough because you gave a great example of taking the demographics, those things like the generation, marital status, all the demographics, right? And you included the psychographics, the personality traits or the behaviors or the interests. You work that in to a very tight statement. So if I could give a gold star, I'm giving them to you, Laura. All right. So the other part of what Laura was saying in the Q&A is I'm moving more towards a luxury client. Just completed luxury certification with Travel Institute. Congratulations, Laura. And please, guys, if you are if you're just getting started or you're making a shift into something, look for powerful certifications and continuing education to help you get there because it's a great way for you to think about the things that you may not have been thinking of. And it really does give confidence, gives a great foundation for you to make those moves, either to get started or to make a shift like Laura is talking about. So, and I love the Travel Institute. I think that they have some great trainings. I'm actually working on my CTIE. So I will be celebrating, I will do a victory lap like Laura is doing right now when I complete that. And also, so World Via, my company, we are a part of Travel Leaders, and they have specialty certifications within different categories of travel: adventure, luxury, destination weddings, and leisure and corporate. So I love both of those, both companies for their certifications, but there are others out there. So very, very proud of you, Laura. Um, and so after saying that, she said, so my ideal client is more experience focused than budget focus. I'd love any advice on how to narrow and improve my focus. All right. I love, Laura, that you had this clearly defined ideal prospect. And now it's evolving. And Laura, I don't recall how long you have been in the industry, or how long you have been selling travel. But that making that move sometimes takes a long time to get there, to go from here's one group, and then now I'm gonna up it a little bit. I'm gonna still target the same people, or still it's the same demographic, in some ways, but maybe the income is different, and the psychographics are similar, but now she's saying there's the budget factor is not, it's not an issue. No, everybody's going to be, even people who are very affluent are going to want to know, how much is this going to cost? Is this in my mental budget? And my mental budget is very different from my bank budget. Okay. My mental budget can say, uh, I am willing to pay for exclusive access to certain things. But I'm not willing to pay for food. You're not going to get me on food, but exclusive access is my thing. So while I might think that this vacation for my family is going to be 20 grand, um, depending on what I value in terms of experiences, I might wiggle. I might wiggle a little bit. I might move into to different territory. So the luxury component, I think, is a very interesting. It's not. I want to say it's an interesting choice. It's almost an obvious choice with how targeted your ideal prospect is, or how targeted you are with your ideal prospect. It really just opened up a a, a whole new window for you, or opportunity, because you're still talking about the same things, but now you're elevating that experience. And so if I go back to what I was talking about at the very beginning when I started to read your question and comment, I if you're showing images where the mom is the hero, um, your marketing is still going to have the mom as the hero. But now those experiences that you might try to capture with, or what you're presenting, uh, is elevated because you want to set the tone, right? This is this is not uh, renting the economy car and touring around Orlando, right? This is having a driver that is a black car service picking you up. Let's just use Orlando. And I know you're doing your European FIT, but just go there with me because I feel like everyone can relate to a going to the Orlando airport and renting an economy car versus being at the lounge, having lounge access at the airport, and being collected by Black Car Service, staying at in a very spacious suite in an Orlando hotel. You know, there because there's the full range within that space. So the budget conscious traveler is looking for they want to have great experiences, but it's going to just look and feel a little bit different. So, Laura, I again, gold star, gold star, gold star. I love your path here. And I don't know how to, I don't have any advice on how to narrow or improve your focus because I think you're right on track. It's what I would be curious to see is what you've made this switch mentally. This is what you're transitioning to. What choices are you making with your marketing based on now changing the demographics a little bit? Again, you're not changing the age group, you're not changing that they're a mom, but you're changing that their income, their household income is a little higher, and or it specifically is higher than, or it's more, it is more specific, I should say, and then that overall budget is is much higher and it is based on that experience. So yours is, Laura, if you're ever interested, if you're interested in this at all, I would love, even though we've got all of our topics for the travel marketeering sessions all mapped out, email me, joshua@worldvia.com. Let me know if you'd be interested in us just working on your brand on this journey that you're on. Because I think everybody watching would love to watch the process. I think that would be really powerful if you feel like that would be of interest to you. I will open that up because Laura, I really love what you've done here. I'd like to help you with that. All right. So I'm thank you for jumping in. That was awesome. And Sylvia said, my target audience are families visiting New Orleans, my hometown, and cruise. Okay, Sylvia, I need a little bit more. I need a little bit more from you. So you're saying the group of people you're targeting are families. So are you is it broadly to mom and dad? Because like Laura said, she's speaking to the mom, right? The mom who is too busy to book her own travel. So let's hone in on that. And visiting New Orleans, that is brilliant, especially if it's your hometown. Think about how many times, or how many times you personally have wanted to go to a destination that you've never been to before, and you're excited to go and you can read everything online about it, right? And you're like, oh, I need to go to the Eiffel Tower. I need to go to Notre Dame if I go to Paris, right? Um, but to have an a local who is putting this experience together for me, well, they're going to know what time to do certain things. They're going to, and this is also, you don't have to be a local, you can just be an expert in a destination, or as I've learned from one of the highest sellers of Viking cruises, she got her start by she had never been on a Viking cruise. She just would download all the trainings. She was working full time. She downloaded all the trainings and she'd put them on a CD. So we're going back a little ways when she did this. And whenever she was in the car, she would listen to the trainings over and over again until she could speak fluent Viking cruises. And she now has, I want to say that she at one point she was the number one agency. I think she's now number two. Not two is not bad. Number two is not bad in all of the United States. And she had never been on a Viking cruise. Yeah. If you don't think I was gobsmacked when I heard that, yeah, think again. I was blown away. But it just goes to show you you can absorb the information and it can flow out super easy and can start you on a journey. So anyway, backing up. So you don't necessarily have to have the experience, but you do have the experience. So that's your niche that you're doing New Orleans vacations and cruises. And I'm assuming cruises going out of your nearest port, right? Because that in and of itself is narrowing down the cruise market for you. And I love it. I love it. But what I want to see is what types of trips to New Orleans. And going back to Laura, is it more an upscale experience, or is this the family style New Orleans? And either one's fine, but the messaging looks the imagery, the brand imagery looks a little bit different based on some of those different components. So add a little bit more flavor, add some spices. Okay, so right now I feel like you've got a good base sauce, but I need a little more of the nuances, the subtleties to your sauce that makes it magnifique, right? But I love where you're starting. That's a good base. All right. So Amber said, "I love this. Thank you guys for playing along today. This is awesome." All right. So my ideal client is someone who spends 9 to 15K without blinking an eye. On what am I spending that money? I know you're talking about vacations, but is it Louis Vuitton? You know, I'm just saying. They're considered upper middle class and want something they can trust, or they want someone they can trust to do what they do not have time for. A little common theme between you and Laura. They need multi-generational trips. They need family, couple, senior trips, and more. Okay, so it sounds like you have enough experience around who you're currently working with. Um, you're so specific in the sense that you've got a larger bucket, but this is this is something that, how do I want to say this? I don't see a specific product pathway for you. It doesn't mean that all of this is not true, but what is the product pathway? And when I say product pathway, I'm talking about cruise, touring, FIT. I'm talking about sun and fun. I'm talking about theme park. I Corporate is a product pathway, but it doesn't. And for most advisors and agencies, you're either a corporate agency or not. But what is this product pathway that you could focus on? Because you're saying this is what their budget is. They are families, um, but then you're really looking at so many different decision makers. Who's buying this trip? You said they need senior trips, family, couples. So is your ideal prospect, not who you would service, because you could service a wider net of people, but is it the senior who is it the grandparent who wants to do the multi-gen trips, or they want to do the skip level trips, right? So, or skip generation, not skip level. That's a business meeting. But skip generation is where grandparents take their grandkids. So parents, you stay at home. We don't want you. You can go do something else. But the skip generation trips, that with multi-gen trips and couple trips, that right there, that grandparent is a great focus. And when you talk about budget, if they're thinking about skip gen and multi-gen trips, your budget is, they're not as concerned with the budget. They want their time with their family. So, what are you, what do you do, and what do you not do? So, will you do a European tour with them, but you're not doing FIT. You're not creating these custom packages. You're looking for packages that are already put together and you're servicing this group. So will you not do the FIT, but you will do Europe touring with them? These questions I'm just asking. Will For cruises, is there a brand that you have more passion around, or that you are more of an expert? Many of the cruise lines can service that group that you're talking about. So, is there one that is the one that maybe you lead with? You can, and it could be Royal Caribbean, but then you can also do NCL. But from a product offering, maybe you feel like Royal Caribbean is more your jam. And when you start to talk about Royal Caribbean, you're like, I'm on it, right? I'm on fire. How, I wish we could get emojis to happen here, because I'm like, there are times when you are on fire with a product, a particular brand, and your ideal prospect. So when those things come together, you're magic, right? So, Amber, I want to see a story here that has some more specifics. I want to see some product pathways, and I'm not saying you have to choose one, albeit if you chose one product pathway, cruising, sun and fun, it does help you focus your marketing energy. But between cruising and sun and fun, there's some crossover, right? Cruising and theme parks, there's some crossover. Sun and fun and theme park, there's some crossover. Uh, but what is it that you sell to this group? That is, I think, what is missing here. And I want to take a moment to talk about, we've talked about the travel motivations a little, right? So when you're building this, the picture of your ideal customer, you've factored in, you've done your research, you've thought about uh, who they are with the demographics and the psychographics, what they're interested in. You've kind of pulled those together. But then those travel motivation, what's their travel motivation? Why are they traveling? Why do they need to travel? Uh, that the motivation is also a part of getting into their head and informing the picture of your ideal customer. So Amber said, she needs multi-generational trips, a couple senior trips. Um, so she's the motivation there is connection, right? Whether it's the family piece or it's the couple piece, it's all about connection. So that motivation is, to me, at least the way I read that, is the connection component. So that's a motivation, right? But other motivations could be, I was just talking about affinity groups. You want to be with like-minded people. So that's a motivation for travel. So you pick your product pathway, you start to identify the travel motivations and who you're speaking to. You're starting to paint a pretty specific picture of who your ideal customer is. And you are identifying how you speak to them, right? Now, you can be uber niched the way Laura was. And Laura, I'm just using you as my example, star pupil here. I'm going to use you as my example because you were very, very specific. You said moms, Europe, specifically UK, Italy, Greece. I think I got them all. But don't get me wrong. That's again, I think that is a fantastic picture of an ideal prospect. But I want to introduce something to you. Well, I'm not introducing it to you, but it's something that I don't hear a lot of people talk about. And it is creating neighborhoods. So I've said it many times in the past. You identify your ideal prospect, you create a profile around them. I talk give them a name, draw a stick figure and a hat, and that's your avatar for this particular bucket of your ideal customers, because you can have several different personas that make up your pool of ideal prospects. But there's always going to be subtle nuances to all of these groups. So rather than thinking about one person, and I do think about one person, I need a visual of one person when I'm writing a message to that specific group. I need it. I write I do I write or I type GPS at the top of my document, and who am I speaking to and what am I trying to what message am I trying to convey? I always put a GPS statement at the top of my documents in order for me to stay focused. That's my global position statement, right? That's where I am going. So I need that at the top so I can stay focused. So I put those buyer personas, the picture of that person, and I might name one Laura, and I might say, what I need Laura to wear purple shirts. What does Laura care about? How do I get Laura motivated to wear purple shirts? And then that's what I write to. So having that buyer persona, that avatar of a single person to represent a group of your prospects is fantastic. It's a great tool. But in all reality, you're speaking to neighborhoods. And who are the people in your neighborhood? You've got you're it's still bucketing, right? You're still creating this top level. This is what the ideal customer looks like. But maybe this person who put in an inquiry into your for you to do a consultation with them, maybe they don't exactly fit that ideal prospect, but there's definitely an opportunity there. They are close enough that they belong to the neighborhood. So I would ask that you think about either one neighborhood of people, and because there's gonna be different attributes to them that don't necessarily fit spot on to your ideal prospect, but ultimately they're good customers, and they are the people that you can communicate with um, in one style, using visual elements and the words, the copy, the words that sell. You are speaking to a neighborhood. So, like you would have a product pathway that is, I'm all about sun and fun. I'm all about those all inclusives. I'm all about the Caribbean and Mexico. I'm all about that. But then I also have maybe 2 to 3 neighborhoods that I speak to. It's I say I'm introducing it to you because you're going to hear me talk about it more. Because the more I talk about identifying your ideal target, we're getting down to the specifics. We're getting down to moms who are too busy to plan their own trips. They are they want to do family trips, they want to do Europe trips, and they are more interested in experiences over just ticking it off their list. They want to go to Paris, but they want to do it in style. Okay. So that's very, very specific. But you might have a couple of neighborhoods that you speak to a little bit differently. Still, same top level, this is my target, but there's maybe a different style in the way that you approach each of your neighborhoods. So think on that just a little bit, because I think that the neighborhood idea is a great way to uh, not feel so boxed in by what you would define in a statement like this. You need the statement to start with, but if you start thinking about it in terms of neighborhoods, there's a world of neighborhoods out there for you. Okay. All right. So, Amber, thank you for making me think about that. Um, so Diana has jumped in and said, I also live kind of close to Orlando and have completed the universal training, but I'm planning on learning more about the cruises that leave out of Port Canaveral. Fantastic. That right there is you're going to speak with such knowledge around the cruises that are leaving out of Port Canaveral that it's going to it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. You're going to be talking to somebody and you are so well versed on what that experience is going out of Port Canaveral that that right there is just another way that you're proving your value to that customer. And that right there is going to build momentum around them working with you, and telling their friends. And yes, I see the next comment you made. You said you'd of course book through with any port if needed, but if we're talking about having forging those meaningful connections with your prospects, having your ideal prospect in mind and understanding the way they think and their motivations, right? Their motivations, and being able to supplement that with this massive, very detailed experience in this destination, in the sense that this is Orlando is a destination, but then you have Port Canaveral as well. That is taking cruise and soup, you just zoomed in on this group and you can become the expert of all cruises leaving out of Port Canaveral. And there is power in that. Now, of course, they could come back to you and want to go on a cruise somewhere else. That's fine, but you hooked them in by being very, very focused and intentional in what you are selling, and then they get to experience you. And then, like Laura, you can hone in on your prospect and then make that shift. What is a move that makes sense for your business in terms of shifting your focus? And one other component to put a bow, and I'm still going to come back to the questions here, but to put a bow on identifying your ideal prospects, because it is really about being very having deep connections with your prospects. It's not a cattle call, right? These are your clients, and you take care of a big investment. Well, it's a big expense. It's an investment in their experience, but it still is an expense to them, right? So you're in charge of a lot of money, no matter what level. If they're a luxury traveler, that's one budget. If they're not a luxury traveler, that's another budget. It's not about the the actual purchase price of working with you. It's the it's the fact that it is not their grocery spend. It is not their gas spend. It is not their utility spend. This, people who are planning vacations, not just hopping in a car and going somewhere, that's a lot of money for any of your clients. So having a meaningful relationship with them, that builds trust. And that is ultimately so important. So the other component to building out your profile of your ideal prospect is look at social media and online behaviors. I know I talked about doing your research. And that market research is more of an initial phase approach where you're scanning the internet to see what people are talking about, what travelers are talking about, what competitors are talking about, what suppliers are talking about. You're kind of doing that in the market research, but also look at social media and online behaviors for trends that are going on. And just staying in tune to how your ideal customers are using social media, what they're talking about at any given time, that will also help you further deepen this picture of your ideal prospect. So in identifying your ideal prospect, do your market research, then start to hone in on those motivations, the travel motivations, then start to paint the picture with your demographics and your psychographics. And then also once you've identified that, start to find them on social media and see what they're talking about. This is as you can see from behind me, I am a fan of Disney, and that is such a niche product that when they make little changes in the way, when Disney destinations make little changes in the way you book travel, or the parks make changes in the way guests can experience the park, those are things that Disney will craft the messaging and they'll educate the travel advisor community, but nobody knows how people are going to react to it until they start talking about it online. So it's the social media, looking at their social media behavior around specific events, things like a change in a product offering or even a destination, will also give you cues on how to identify this ideal prospect. So I just to kind of wrap that up, because again, these are your ideal prospects. Some people you might still service, and at some point you might not service people that don't fit your ideal. And that does happen. I'm not speaking crazy here. That does happen. But right now you're trying to figure out who your ideal customer is and how you can talk to them, and when. That is the whole point of being so focused on identifying who they are. So you know how to speak to them, you know what's important. You don't talk about something that isn't important to them, that just is preventing them from making deciding to work with you. So when you know that, then the way that you're communicating, when you know who they are, the way that you're communicating with them is different. And that's where then the delivery of your service takes over, right? And that's you being genuine with them, you being who you are. Don't try to be someone else, because in life, when you try to be someone else, that does not, you can't sustain it, and people do inevitably see through it. So be who you are. Don't try to be someone else. No, you're not going to win everyone over. But the people that you do win over, because of you being uniquely you in your authentic self, that's your tribe. Those are your people. And there are people for everyone. So hear me. Please, please always bring your authentic self into every communication with your prospects and your customers. Don't try to be someone else. Now, that doesn't mean, especially if you're just getting started, you might mimic behaviors that you see from somebody you perceive to be more successful than you or at the level that you want to be someday. It's okay to mimic those things. Make sure you bring them into yourself and they become a part of you, because that's people. And I know you've experienced it as well, whether it's maybe you've worked with a travel advisor in the past, or just even working with a hairdresser, going to a hairdresser, or going to a shop and or a spa. That's a good one. When you go to a spa, say you're getting a facial, the you know when someone is just trying to sell you the products that they're using on you. You also know when somebody is genuinely in tune to you. They maybe asked you what skincare concerns you had, and throughout the treatment, they're talking about how they're addressing that or why they're using certain products based on what you said. And you leave those situations oftentimes sold to. You might buy that product that they wanted you to buy, but you leave those situations feeling genuinely taken care of and listened to, and human beings love that. I'm speaking, I'm a human speaking to other human beings. I'm sure you're like, yeah, no duh. But it's surprising, and I have had the opportunity to look at advisor emails to their clients. So one-to-one emails. I'm not talking about broadcast emails. I'm talking about the one-to-one, the interactions. Somebody has started down the process of putting a proposal together, or they have actually put the proposal together. The person has bought the trip, but then the interactions beyond, when finalizing all the details, I have seen that fall apart. And in the words that they use, the advisor uses in the one-to-one emails, everything falls apart. It seems extremely transactional, or or they've cut and pasted different messages, so it doesn't actually look like they've written this message to me. So your clients will not feel taken care of. And 9 times out of 10, it's it's not really indicative of the advisor's personality, the way they would treat their client if their client was right sitting alongside them, and they're working through details together. They are not capturing their authentic self in their communications. And that's where relationships can fall apart. If we're trying to there is there's reward, both financially and emotionally, there are rewards to having meaningful relationships. And when you bring your whole self in to these interactions with your clients, your prospects, when you bring your whole self in, it the client is happier, they're going to come back to you, then you are also going to feel like you're helping somebody, and they like working with you. It's a huge boost of confidence, but at the end of the day, it's humans communicating um, together, and it being a mutually beneficial situation. So that's why I wanted to do this session today, to talk about, identifying those ideal prospects and speaking to them, and speaking to them, to that neighborhood, right? And being your authentic self. Another component to that is you can build trust quickly by being very transparent about the way you work with your clients, the way you the pricing around what you the products that you offer. I mean, that's being very transparent about here's what I do, and here's the value that I add. Here's the pricing. Nothing is hidden away. It's very, very transparent. Um, that gives people a lot of trust in you and allows for those meaningful relationships to take root. And it's the same thing. This is not an epiphany moment. It is something that you're doing and you know that you do in your day-to-day life. But the my focus in talking to you about this is making it be more intentional. Again, we go back to travel marketeering, the marketing systems that help sell your products and services. Okay. Um, if you are thinking about all of this, who your ideal customer is, how you're going to speak to them, how are you transparent about what you offer, the value you provide, the pricing around things, this all can become very systematized. So it's second nature for you. The things that are maybe automated emails that you use, you're infusing the opportunity. You're infusing them with the opportunity to further develop a meaningful relationship with your clients. And that is a choice that you make every time you create those automated emails. If you have a proposal template, have you dressed it up in a way that it is speaking with purpose to your ideal prospect? Or does it feel very computer generated, right? Everybody knows it was computer generated, but does it have your added little flourishes that speak to your neighborhood, your ideal prospects? These are things that I want you to think about. Be very intentional about it. All right. The other thing that I want to talk about with building meaningful relationships is creating that loyalty to that really fosters referrals. So if they have a meaningful relationship with you, you don't have to be their best friend, but you're their friend in travel, right? Meaningful relationships will breed loyalty. That loyalty will help with them becoming your evangelists. And you can't control when they're going to talk about you and to their friends and family. You don't know when it's going to happen. But all the investments in the relationship with them is building loyalty, and those referrals will come. If you give great service or if you get great service, you don't know when you're going to get the chance to talk about it, but it might come up at Thanksgiving dinner and you're like, oh, well, let me tell you about Laura. She's flippin' amazing. Da 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 da. And then later on, uh, 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 your sister comes up to you and says, so can you give me Laura's information? Because I didn't tell you this, but I'm planning, I want to take the family to Italy and I don't even know where to begin, right? And I just don't have time for it. Hello, that's Laura's ideal customer, right? So you can't plan that, but by investing in having meaningful relationships with your prospects and actually your customers at that point, that loyalty is going to end up, it's going to result in referrals. So I, in another component to this is to ask for the referral. It's very similar to asking for reviews. Okay. Uh, but asking for referrals is it's less of a science. You can create a system to remind you, but it is a little bit of an art form because I'm going to tell you that you need to ask for referrals. You need to let your customers know that you're looking for more fantastic customers like them. Haha! What a way to boost their ego and to make them feel good about referring people to you. So you every single customer, and I'm gonna add a caveat, every single ideal customer, make sure that you ask for referrals. But the art part to this is the timing of it. So too soon feels awkward to your customer. If they've just purchased with you, they haven't actually been on the trip yet, too soon, too soon. If it's too late, they won't even bother, right? It's like, why are you reaching out to me 3 months after I went on this vacation? Right? It's okay to reach out to them, but I'm saying asking for a referral. So too soon is awkward. Too late, it's going to get overlooked. So what I have heard from many advisors is they send an email after the travelers have returned, and they ask them for a review, maybe a link to their Google review or their Facebook review. They ask for a review. Help me find more clients like you, great clients like you. Please share your experience. Here's a link, and it takes them right to Google. Uh, so they do that right after the person comes back from the trip, not the very next day, because if they've been to Europe, they're probably jet lagged. Give them a couple of days, but send that review. And then I have heard that about the 6 week mark after someone returns. So they have had the great vacation. There's probably been a lot of buildup up to that point. So they had the great that great experience. They've come back. Maybe they left a review, or maybe they didn't. It's okay if they didn't, but you at least put it out there for them. And so now they're settled back into their normal routine. Around the 6 week mark, I have heard has been a sweet spot for a great reach out. I mean, maybe they want to start working on their next trip. That's awesome if they do. But if you just reach out to them and say, hey, again, it was such a pleasure planning that trip to Italy for you and your entire family. I'm so glad. I loved seeing the pictures online. So this is not an automated message. I'm infusing some meaningful words or intentional words about them specifically. I would love to work with more families like yours. So please, if there is anyone you know of that is wanting to plan a trip like yours, all right. So now you're getting them to look for people who are your ideal prospects. So say, hey, please let them know about me. Or if it's cool for me to reach out, send me their information, and I will send them an email so they can, schedule time with me or something like that. Give them some options, but be very comfortable and casual with it. Don't feel awkward about it. They know that you are a business owner, whether you are the agency owner or you are an advisor in an agency. They know that you own your book of business. And if they had a great experience with you, they will want to help you out. And they might come back and say, I can't think of anybody right now, but you've now just planted, you've just deposited money in the annuity that is a referral system. Okay. So you've planted that seed. You don't know if that's going to pay off in a week, in 3 weeks, in 3 months, or 3 years. But if you keep doing it, it's going to grow. Your chances of getting those referrals is going to grow exponentially. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to the chat while we still have a few more minutes. I hope you guys are having a good time. I appreciate you guys staying with me on or joining me on a Saturday morning. I know for some of you on the West Coast, it is a wee bit early, right? But I'm glad that you woke up and joined us. And of course, on the East Coast, hey, you needed to get up anyway, and we needed to work on our business. So no, I'm glad you're here, but of course you'd be here. No, I am very, very grateful that you were here. All right. So Amanda shared, my niche is cruising. My target is budget-friendly travel for families who think they can't afford to see the world. I may need some help with the statement. Okay, Amanda, and she LOL. Okay. Haha, we're gonna do the laugh out loud. Amanda, you're right. You need a little help with the statement. So your niche is cruising. So I I want to say that your pathway is cruising, okay? Because your niche starts to get into this ideal customer, in my opinion, okay? So your pathway, your product pathway is cruising, and then your target, your target, your ideal prospect, the ones that you want to have a meaningful relationship with, the ones that you want to be, they're your Luke Skywalker and you're their Obi-Wan. You're their guide. They're the hero. You're the guide. We're talking about the journey, the hero's journey here. So your Luke Skywalker is budget friendly travel. Families think they can't afford to see the world. Um, Again, are we talking to mom and dad? Are they married or single? You know, the single parents. You can start to hone it. You don't have to. You don't have to say it needs to be one or the other, but is there a sweet spot for you? Um, and see the world. The world is very big. Fortunately, cruising starts to narrow that down a little bit, right? So I would suggest a very pointed statement around where in the world you're focusing, and maybe it's more of just a section of the world. Like maybe it's Caribbean, Mexico cruising. Maybe it's any cruise leaving out of the United States. Okay, that gives you some options there too, and gives you different products to work with. Or maybe it's Caribbean, Mexico, and Europe, or Caribbean. Just hone in a little bit on the specific destinations that are giving them a worldly experience, and that can be serviced by in a budget-friendly way, right? So your messaging is probably around certain suppliers who are good at budget. Or it can also be about you educating them on, and I love when luxury cruise lines will break down the maths around how much it costs per day with an all-inclusive luxury cruise versus if you were to stay on land, right? So you might want to do some of that communication in your messaging to this group, but I would give some more colors to this group right here, in order to have a strong, defined ideal prospect. Sorry. Let's see here. Tracy's got a few, and I want to get to all of them here. So Tracy said, we have several Facebook groups of affinity, solo, men, women, couples. We have members and are growing. We have sold to 2 individuals who are friends. We have put several group trips and cruises out there, but we haven't had bookings. I have a class reunion trip planned going to Tulum flight and hotel. We have a group on Facebook for this, but no deposits paid. 100 people said it was a great idea and are interested, but no deposits paid or no bookings. How can we get folks to book and pay deposits? Okay, so there's a lot going on in that statement, Tracy. And I I would strongly urge that if you are putting together, and I'm trying to process everything that you said there, but if if you are putting together a group trip and you are trying to get people to pay deposits, okay, you need to, and I don't know what your communications have looked like, but there needs to be a sense of urgency. To take advantage of this opportunity, this great price, this great trip that we're doing. You need to make a deposit by X date. You need to put deadlines in there, and there needs to be a sense of urgency. So it can't be passive, like, hey, if you want to join us, come join us. No, why do I need to join you? What am I going to get out of it? And don't assume because this group said that they wanted this, that they are the decision makers. They need sometimes they need help getting other people to get on board, maybe their partner to get on board with this decision. So I again, I don't know what your messaging has been, but in order to get people booked in a group and to make those deposits, there has to be, you have to take control of the situation. You have to spell it all out for them. What are they going to get? What is this amazing value that they're going to they're going to have by purchasing this with you? And you need to book now. Spots are getting limited. I mean, as if nobody is booked, then you don't have that story to tell. But at what point is it done? Is this is not going to happen? Well, you need to back it up and say this is the deadline to get those deposits in. So I'd have a bit of a sense of urgency. And I would like to clarify that it doesn't seem like these large groups, the Facebook groups, they seem like they are attached to you, but they might not be your ideal prospect and customer. So I need way more details to give you real specifics there, but you need to treat it as there is a sense of urgency, and you need to get on it to take advantage of it. And let's see, Tracy also added, do you recommend we make videos of ourselves? Does this work getting people to book? Do we just talking about group plans? We have to get folks excited or interested. Again, we have followers, but no bookings for group trips. We feel like we're spinning our wheels. How can we use our time marketing efficiently and effectively? Making videos, speaking directly to your group is extremely beneficial. That right there, coupled with written communications around your group, that will help. So you did, in that statement, you did say that you have followers, but they're not customers yet. So it's very much like you have a bunch of leads, but they haven't turned into opportunities yet. They're qualifying you and you're qualifying them. So that is something that you need to address is, how do you create that gravitational pull around you to attract them to becoming your customers? And videos are a fantastic way to do this. I could have written an ebook about forging meaningful relationships with your prospects. And maybe I will someday, but I'm saying I could write that. But me talking to you right now is, I'm getting something out of this. I'm getting your questions. I'm able to I'm able to demonstrate the way that I think about marketing, and I'm hoping that it gives you the confidence to make better decisions with your marketing and your time in the future. Very much the same as maybe you host a webinar, and you invite everybody, all the followers, to a webinar where you get them all hyped up about it. And then, here's a link to start your deposit, right? Just an option. Laura said, this was going back to earlier, she said she's been in travel for over 6 years, and at the 6-year mark, she's made this move to take her business into the luxury space. So love it. Let's see. Diana said, I love Laura's niche, but those are not people I know. Most are more of that budget-friendly Orlando going mom, grandma. That's fine. I was acknowledging that Laura was very specific about who her ideal target is. So everybody's target is not going to be the same, but the details are what I suggest, and that's what I was commending Laura on, having those details there. Let's see. Uh, Let's see. Amanda said, I'll make a comment on New Orleans. I was there last year for a cruise and we drove. Warn people about the bridges. I have a major fear of bridges and did not like driving over the lake. We will take the long way, but it's still a very, very, very long bridge. LOL, panic attack 5.0. Wow. All right, Amanda. Fantastic. Well, not fantastic that you experienced that. Let's see. Diana said, is it okay to use some stock photos on our agent profiler and bios? And Diana, for those of you who are not a part of the Travel Leaders Agent Universe world, where Agent Profiler is a lead generation tool, it's an online profile where you build out your individual profile and you're able to get leads from travelleaders.com. And asking if you can use stock photos on that. Yes, you can, as long as you own the rights to those stock photos. So you've got the license for those stock photos. But I always recommend where you can have personal photos that you've taken, or when you have clients, get pictures that they've taken that they've allowed you to share publicly. I would start to change those out. But visuals go a long way. So if you do not have the photography, stock photography is okay. All right, well, guys, we've gone over a little bit. I love so much in the chat. We've talked about a ton of things, but at the end of the day, it is all the reward, both financially and emotionally, is going to come from having meaningful relationships with your prospects as well as your customers. And it's something that, like I said, I want you to be intentional about. Look at your communications, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's your marketing communications. How can you speak to your ideal customer in an authentic way? How can you interact with them as individuals, but do it with that focus on being your authentic self, being transparent about what you offer, product wise, experience wise, pricing wise, and that overall value that you add. It will pay dividends, I guarantee you. But it is one step in your overall travel marketeering. And I'm so glad that you spent this morning, joining me for this live session, or if you are watching this on demand. I am going to be here most Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you missed any portion of it, or if you want to go back and watch other sessions that we've done, those are on our YouTube page. If you search in YouTube for World Via Travel Network, you will find a whole playlist on the Travel Marketeering Saturday sessions. If you have any questions, email me, joshua@worldvia.com. I'd love to hear from you. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you had a great time and you think that this would be of value to other advisors that you know, please share the link to register for the travel marketeering sessions with your fellow your peer of your peer group, your colleagues in the travel advisor space. I would love to have them here. You see what I did? I did a little asking for a referral. So I hope to see you in a upcoming session next week. We're going to have more fun. I guarantee it. That is what I strive for. So I hope to see you there. Have a wonderful weekend and take care of yourself. See you real soon. Bye now.